industry is changing and the industry is innovating. Our goal is to make sure that our students are successful with as modern equipment as we can find in the training environment.
We wanted to find a training platform for our academy that would most closely approximate what the pilots are going to see once they get to the airline.
Our acquisition process, we did a 5-year life cycle, expected operational costs for all the competitors.
We effectively did a fly-off. We had 2 other manufacturers plus Diamond, and we picked the aircraft that we thought would be best suited for our training.
We humans on the planet, we are traveling a lot, whether we have to or whether we want to. And aviation is keeping that globe connected.
IndiGo Airlines, their vision is to move 2% of the train travelling population of India onto domestic aircraft. They've just recently ordered 500 A320 aircraft.
Prior to COVID, there was a shortage of pilots. Now there's a critical shortage.
Let's face it, there is a global pilot shortage and we are all in this fight together.
It's a huge demand, and the capacity of all the flying schools can't cover that demand.
It's more important than ever that we provide opportunity to those that dream of finding a life and a career in the cockpit and train them like airline pilots from day one.
The aviation industry, the pilot shortage is a big topic worldwide. How can you overcome the shortage?
I think flight training is the hardest gig in aviation. It is a bit like being a director of an orchestra. You have to find a point of differentiation. You have to find the sweet spot where you are palatable financially to the person wanting to undergo the training, but you have to train the students to such a level of quality that they become the legacy of the school and they sell the school from that point.
This flight school is one of the largest in Europe.
Here in Norway, we get a lot of thunderstorms. -10 is not unusual. We have the mountain ridges, 8,000–9,000 feet. Combined with strong winds, you get mountain waves, severe turbulence, and combine that with icings of the wintertime makes challenging flight conditions.
In the early 2000s, we started buying used and mismatched airplanes, and we were seeing that our aircraft fleet was aging, but there was a lot of stuff on the horizon, and we wanted to be part of that. Everybody's new buzzword was next gen, a next generation of navigation coming.
Lift Academy, our motivation is to ensure that each person who graduates from our program is fully qualified to embark on that next step of their journey and ultimately end up at Republic Airways. When Lift was seeking a training platform for our academy, we wanted to find an airplane that would most closely approximate what the pilots are going to see once they get to the airline and they're flying the Embraer E-Jet.
While I am an employee, I always feel like an entrepreneur. I try with all my management to run the company as if it would be our companies.
It's in our blood not to focus on the past. We had to build from the ground, from zero. We started with new standards, new approach.
So that is why it was the decision to create our own academy, when we can see what we are selecting, how we are training, and how we're delivering to the airline.
Let's invest in the most modern equipment in glass cockpit aircraft for training.
It's the brand's name, of course. Lufthansa is a global player. Everybody knows the name, and it's a great heritage and a big responsibility to keep that up. The main emphasis of the final stage of their training, to have the students feel comfortable in really bad weather. The passengers all still want to be on time regardless of the weather.
Our position in Doha, Qatar, we're right on the coast and it gets very hot and very humid. It's quite a corrosive environment. Before I came to Qatar, tools in my toolbox that I've had for 20 years started to corrode.
Abyssinian Flight Services is the only privately operated flight school in Ethiopia. What makes Ethiopia unique? We have high altitude. For example, Addis Ababa is 7,626 feet.
Prescott's motto is America's hometown, Arizona Mountain West airspace that is just so valuable for their training. About 3 years ago, we were looking for 100% fleet replenishment, deciding what would be our twin-engine trainer. Prescott, Arizona is at 5,000 feet. Very high on our scale is safety.
I told all my shareholders and my team, we want to become a prestige school. We want to make this school the best quality in Asia. Now, the times is getting more and more modern. Now, everything we do, it has to be Instagrammable. We cannot use back the 50 years old technologies to introduce to our pilots.
FTA is a global brand. We've trained for all the major airlines in Europe and also in Southeast Asia. I think what features in their thinking is actually our safety record. The premise of our school is safety, quality. But safety leads quality. We don't make quality decisions at the expense of safety.
I would say the absolutely beautiful aircraft. First time I came to Diamond, I thought, wow, look at that beauty.
When we started expansion 43 years ago, our main market was always the flight training market. We started with the DA-20, DA-40, and then with the DA-42.
Flight schools like airliners, smaller and bigger schools, military and other operators utilizing our planes, and they're all over the world.
We knew that Diamond offered the best opportunity to be on the leading edge of new innovations.
Our goal is making sure that the students have the newest equipment available. These Diamond airplanes, they're as modern as we can find in the training environment.
The bulk of our fleet has more than 8,000 hours on it. Some of them are above 10,000. There was a time that 10,000 hours made you scared. This airplane was designed for next gen. Diamond uses the G1000 the way it was intended to be. It's fully integrated into the aircraft itself.
Five years ago, we chose Diamond as our partner as we prepared to launch the inaugural class at Lift Academy. So we're currently operating a fleet of over 50 Diamond aircraft, including the DA-20C1, the DA-40NG, and the DA-42-6. There are certain technologies that prepare pilots for transitioning to complex jet aircraft. Things like the single lever power control, which is identical to what you're going to find on a jet. Working with systems like a FADEC where your engine is being controlled electronically. Having things like the flight path vector in the Garmin G1000 NXI with the synthetic vision. The flight path vector is your primary symbology in the E-jet. Therefore, we want to introduce our pilots to that as early as possible, or Hour 1 as we refer to.
U.S. Air Force is operating the DA-20 for their initial flight training.
I would say 90% of the pilots going into the Air Force each year come through this program. We have 62 DA-20s here.
We fly the DA-20. It's a great trainer airplane. It's been a dream to fly. The students pick it up very quickly. It's a tough airplane. A lot of these aircraft have been here for 16 years. We have good maintenance, but the planes themselves are just very tough. We take an hour-long sortie and go out and just do 15 or 16 touch-and-go landings with this thing, and it might do that multiple times a day. You think about that, and that's a lot of wear and tear on an airplane, and these airplanes hold up great. It's a rare day that I lose a sortie because of a maintenance problem.
Design that we did on the DA-20 reverses the instrument panel. The pilot being trained could have the stick in their right hand, throttle in their left.
So this gives the Air Force an opportunity to get a really immersed program, to get these students the basic crawl phase of military aviation and to develop the fundamentals that will help them proceed more rapidly through the next phases of training.
We did a 5-year life cycle, expected operational costs for all the competitors, and Diamond has the lowest. 5-year operational cost, they won out completely against the competition. If you're at 10,500 here in central Arizona, and let's say it's about 85 degrees, density altitude's approaching 13, 14, maybe even 15,000 feet. With the turbocharged engines, the more room you have or the better performing engines you have, the safer your flight training is going to be. This twin engine, this DA42, it can fly on a single engine safely up to about 13,000 feet, which ensures a better safety margin for our students when they're out there in the training environment. People make the false assumption that because we have 2 engines on the Diamond aircraft that they are going to cost twice as much in fuel as a single engine aircraft might, and that's just not the truth. So because of the FADEC and because they're Austro, which are very well designed engines, we end up really getting about only a 30% increase for 2 engines compared to what you would have for 1 engine. The Diamonds are a very reliable airplane, and we've met our reliability numbers that we've designed into our system, and those were the 2 major factors that drove us to purchase the fleet that we have today.
If you look at our website, with the Diamonds, they look beautiful. So I think that's a selling pitch for us as well. 6 years ago that we transferred from Cessnas to the Diamonds. I mean, the fuel consumption is less than half from what they were used to here. We start out at 6 o'clock in the morning, all the way to over midnight, especially in the summertime when the light is here. We can operate 24/7 if we want to. The noise level is quite low, which is good for the community, which we are a part of. On our DA42s, we have de-icing system. It's quite rare that we have to cancel due to icing.
As we do have anti-icing system certified for flight into non-icing. For a professional flight school, they can easily dispatch these kind of flights, while if you don't have that, you will be grounded. So your dispatch reliability increases.
After investigation of the world of general aviation aircraft, Diamond was popping up as the best suiting our needs. So all those factors together, safety, economy, modern aircraft, and also suitable for the transition from the single pilot, multi-pilot into the airline, was very well presented by the Diamond.
We have only Diamond aircraft for training, a seamless education. And that idea I liked a lot, to focus only on one aircraft type, which is the Diamond, to become an airBaltic pilot.
With the Diamond, which is producing the less noise footprint, so we don't have any complaints. Fly over the populated areas, people are not complaining at all.
The A40 and the A42, they have a lot of similar parts, interchangeable. Because FADEC, they don't have these defects with the engine which are caused by some human errors by students or instructors, because FADEC is a very good safeguard against that.
It was time to upgrade on the next level. And the next level is a fuel-efficient, first-class avionic, airliner-type Airbus Boeing-type cockpit. Diamond DA42 was chosen because its flying capabilities are quite extensive anti-ice protection, and on top of that, Lufthansa has chosen to equip it with weather radar. So we are feeling very comfortable even in very bad situations to still go out flying, whereas some models we have been using before, we would have been canceling for that day. We have made excellent experience with Diamond, being it from picking up the phone, we have a question, being it from fixing any maintenance schedule. It is a really good professional service of I would also say, global player. So if you're matching up global players to each other, there's going to be a good product out of it. In airline training, where you have to be able to fly in land in bad weather, I think there's no match versus the DA42 NG.
In Ethiopia, there's a couple of airports clocking at 8,000 feet. And then you see these airplanes to take off with 3 people my size from those kind of altitude and climb out very happily, very reliable. For me, at my age, there's no vibration in the airplane, so no fatigue with a Diamond because there's no noise. So all those added together, I think that makes it really a beautiful airplane. In addition to that, it makes you look good wherever you go, seriously.
When we approach into Diamond, we do a lot of studies from holiday aspect, from the cost effective, from operation cost. For our temperatures and an ambient can be around until 40, 45.
Economics, a big thing. The Diamonds burn about 50% of the fuel, and then the fuel is about 50% of the cost. In the maintenance schedule, most of the competitors is a 50-hour inspection, but on the Diamonds it's 100 hours, so it gives you double the flight hours before you need to do any scheduled maintenance. We're literally bringing the aircraft in half as much as we would with the competitors. One of the big advantages of a Diamond is obviously a composite airframe, so you don't suffer from any airframe corrosion. The Austro engine that's fitted in the Diamond is liquid cooled. Obviously that's an advantage when it comes to cooling. In fact, we've never had a Diamond come back that was overheating. Very hot weather, with the Austro engine it's obviously a massive advantage. If the engine's running, the AC's running. The air conditioning, it's been extremely reliable. We've never had to change any of the main components of the AC.
Reliability. We find with a Diamond, you turn the key, it's going to go. First time, no problem. In our old fleets, an ATPR syllabus, it was a very long course. We found that was what was required. Big advantage that we're having now. With the Diamond fleet, we have a new syllabus which has been reduced by 50 hours of flying, in fact. From the day they start their training, they're into the single engine simulator. They do familiarization. They can jump into the aircraft. They know exactly what they're doing because it's identical. Everything is exactly the same. And then when they transition to the multi-engine, it's the same again, apart from one more lever. That can get them to a proficiency level in less time because the continuity of the type of aircraft throughout and simulator. We have some of the best training equipment that there is to offer.
I believe now this century, we require a minimum comfort for all our students. Let's bring in diamonds. And once we bring in diamonds, it's great. Number one, Diamond is using Jet A1 and it's very favorable in Malaysia. You go anywhere with diamonds, you have no problems of putting fuel. And because of Austro engine, the fuel saving is, well, nothing can compare. They only burn like half of others OEM fuels that's burning. Therefore, I feel that Diamond, it is the best choice for the Flying Academy. None of the OEM that I come across can compete with Diamonds.
None of them made a 4-cylinder variable pitch prop fixed undercarriage with a glass cockpit. Diamond picked that market perfectly for us, so there was no second thoughts about what aircraft we were going to pick.
After that, it's just been a constant growth. We've gone from a school that probably was 20 years ago to now 2 schools. This one here, which currently has about 350 students enrolled, and another school, which is the Qantas Group Pilot Academy, aiming to have 250 in that school. Currently, we have 60 Diamond 40s, 12 DA42s.
We've probably done around 500,000 air switch hours on our Diamond fleet since we've owned them. Having just one sort of fleet, obviously all your spare parts from the one supplier, even DA40 share a lot of parts with the DA42s. Having done that many air switch hours over the years, we're not seeing any major issues that is cause for concern.
We have a really tremendous safety record. We've had mishaps, and every single time that the cockpit's set up and how it's structured, there's been minor damage to the aircraft and absolutely no injury to the student.
A little known fact is that every pilot that goes into Qantas Academy will learn to fly on a Diamond DA40 and 42.
We have been training for Qantas since the late 80s. I think what features in their thinking is actually our safety record, and Diamond is part of that. I think Diamond, clearly they've come up with what I consider one of the best general aviation training products in the world, and that's why we've gone with those aircraft.
When you open a new market and you bring the first airplane into that country, this is a very special time when you see these people open-minded coming to, oh God, we are building a new future here together.
Schools buy 2-3 planes, or they buy 50 or 100 planes. The feeling is the same. This is such a rewarding moment for all of us because we become a family.
I always talk to my student, AATA is like a family. We have to protect this family because why? You are AATA student, we graduate you. This is our branding together. If we cherish our brand, we become strong community and we can do many things in the aviation industry.
The Pilot Academy plays a very important role because the future need for pilots on the globe is so big. We are already set up and the airBaltic Academy will be the enabler for us to become that airline we want to be.
After now 16 years and after training about 200 students who have made it to airliners, it's really challenging for me to explain how I feel on the day of graduation. On seeing that little kind of confused, scared young man becoming a pilot here, really it's emotional. Unless you start sharing, I don't think you have started living.
Taking delivery today of our 44th airplane, so it's almost quadrupled in size.
We are bringing in bigger and bigger classes, and we continue to believe that we need to be helping the industry with that shortage. That's why we invested in 8 additional Diamond airplanes this year.
We've never had an injury in a Diamond, and we've been very fortunate, and I can only thank Diamond for that. There was a time that sleeping at night was sometimes difficult, just because I knew we had a lot of activity going on. I sleep just fine now. Now that we have Diamonds, I have no problem sleeping.
Really, without being too tacky, I would say it's the perfect match. I cannot think of a button or a system I want to have in there. We are very happy about the DA42 though.
We have the best of equipment to offer. We have the new fleets of aircraft, the best in the world for training. So that gives us also the pride that we can deliver, and that also attracts students to us.
If you walk out on the ramp, they're just neat looking airplanes and they look sleek, right? They look attractive. And that gets the student looking at our program. And then when we start to talk about the capabilities of the Diamond, and we talk about the safety features, and we talk about the reliability and the ability to get them to graduation understanding how multi-engine airplanes operate, I think that brings it home to them. They go, okay, that's where I want to be. I want to graduate having the best initial training I could possibly have, and that's what Embry-Riddle offers. And part of the reason we offer it that is because we fly diamonds.